What is up, guys? And in this video I'll be talking about my biggest video editing and videographer mistakes that I've made as a freelance video editor, videographer, and how I recently just turned down or lost the $8,000 contract. I'm gonna tell you all the things that not a lot of videographers will tell you exclusively on this BVCCO channel. Stay tuned. So if you don't know who I am yet, my name is Peter from Broke Visionary Collective, where I help you create something from nothing, one-stop shop for content production, video content strategy, as well as helping you build your brand on YouTube. And when I first started off 3-4 years ago, when it came to video editing and becoming a videographer, my first and biggest mistake that I've made is that I trusted the client. Yes, when you come to normal people, yes, trust people. But when it comes to actually doing business and exchanging video services for someone, one of my biggest mistakes is that I actually lost $1,000 because I made the foolish mistake of giving someone the full video and trusting that they would pay me, but instead they ran away and ghosted me. And I actually have a video on that and how I filmed my very first music video with no experience. Link in the description, you want to check that video out. And there's a little story behind that, is that initially I made the client pay a deposit. So let's say 10 to 30% of whatever budget that we agreed on. And then once the client was completely satisfied with the video, it was up to them to give me the full amount. And once they were super happy with it, that person started making excuses, making reasons why, they can't pay me back. They pay me back in weird amounts or times. And I ended up not getting paid for the project at all. I had a lot of fun video editing it, filming it. It looked great. But the reality is that client ran away, and I just lost my time and effort and money. So the first biggest mistake, not even video editing, but as a videographer and learning business, is that learn how to watermark your videos. At least if you send them the final video, don't send them the final video without any watermark, meaning you can put your label all over it, put your logo all over it, so they can't use it. Because if you send them the final copy or the final render of the video, and they decide to run away, guess what? They can if you don't decide to pursue any sort of legal action. And I'm a nice guy. I'm like, life's tough times, you can probably just, it's a learned lesson for me that from now on, biggest thing you want to do as a video editor and videographer when you take on new clients is that you take some sort of deposit. So for example, if I charge $1,000 for a video, I'm going to take anywhere from $100 to $300 up front so that I know that you are serious about investing into my video editing services. And when I send the final render, I actually have some sort of watermark on the video so they can't just run away with it. And obviously you want to feel the client out. You want to be able to figure out, can I trust this person? Is this someone I want to work for a long time? What kind of leads into the second tip is that you want to have some sort of probation or trial period. Whether you want to work for them for 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, figure out something that works for you. It's pretty much like dating, right? You don't want to go into a relationship and be like, okay, I am going to marry you straight off the bat without knowing who they are as a person, how they react, what's their workflow like. And you want to take that same mentality when it comes to working relationships. So for example, I've had clients that took forever to answer emails and have my revisions back and forth. They weren't really professional with the communication. And yes, they eventually paid me, but it took forever. The lack of communication, the lack of experience and professionalism working from one-to-one with a client and a business owner. You want to feel people out, because the reality is, just because someone agrees to hire you to make their videos, it doesn't mean their workflow, the relationship is going to be like, there's going to be synergy. That's what you're looking for. When it comes to dating, you want to find someone that's compatible for you. It's just the same with work. And that's one of the things that I learned. And I recently turned down something which is going to turn. So tip 1, we got watermark. Tip 2 is relationships. Tip 3 is knowing your worth. So this goes into If you haven't smashed that thumbs up button, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. My name is Peter. You're watching Broke Visionary, but now I'm going to jump into the third part. And the third part and the final part when it comes to working and making a video editing mistake is I recently turned down a $3,000 plus, even up to potential $8,000 when it comes to video editing services, is that knowing your worth. And I had this potential client, super nice client, but the reality of it is that me knowing how fast I am and knowing the amount of footage that I needed to edit, I picked up this client. The client sent me 220 terabytes of footage, and he's like, okay, here you go, edit this. And if I was a beginner editor and I didn't have really much experience, yes, I would go and take the project. And now that I'm much more experienced and much more older and knowing that I don't like sitting all day at the editing bay, I'm a part-time hustler. I like to, do things outside of video editing, like creating brand strategies, creating content strategy, figuring out YouTube and figuring out how can I help them build their brand, except just to video edit alone. And this client wanted me to edit, I would say, 46 hours of video footage and looking through it, and for me it took me so damn long just to go through the footage and just to have it. Just gave me a headache, and I was like, holy crap, I just spent 12 hours trying to put together a rough cut. And for me, I knew that this project, even though the budget wasn't there, it was not worth my time, because I could have spent much more time doing things that make me happy and I feel fulfilled, whether that's making these YouTube videos on the side or just having my own time so I can create. Because you don't want to take on a project that takes all your energy and time, right? You want something to invest in maybe 80% of your time, and you can have 20% as a creative. If you're anything like me, you like to do things outside of just straight hardcore video editing, and all you do is just edit away and you're like, wow, time just flies by. But I'm at the point where it's like I want to do more things outside of that. So it's all about knowing what you're worth and not just taking a video editing client just for the sake of taking a video editing client. Your gut will tell you, and your intuition is like, okay, am I having fun editing this footage? What am I getting out of it? Am I learning anything? Or am I just editing for the sake of editing for the sake of money, right? And those were my biggest video editing freelance videographer mistakes that I made when it comes to the business aspect of exchanging video services for actual my own content. And bonus tip is that you want to have a big knowledge gap. So when it comes to clients that have experience and they start out editing their own videos, just take it as a big caution when they themselves have used websites like Fiverr or Upwork or Freelancer or outsource their video editing. I'm not saying I'm against working with these clients, but the reality is they don't see their knowledge or the actual value of video editing and actual content creation, because in their mind, they think, okay, I can outsource this type of video to somewhere in Southeast Asia or XYZ for half the price. So they're not gonna know your value or worth. For me, I'm always weary or cautious when people who use Canva and all that, and they're a one-stop, no content creation. The reality is when they hire on a videographer or a video editor, they're usually like, wait, why am I have to pay you this amount of money when I can do it half the price and I can hire it overseas? Well, the truth is those aren't your ideal clients. My ideal clients is the ones that actually respect and value my experience, that I have worked with entrepreneurs and video content alone, as well as knowing the years that it took to get me this good at video editing, how fast I am in the workflow and the communication that I bring to the table. On top of that, knowing that I know different aspects, not just video editing. And big tip is the bigger the knowledge gap, the more that you can charge for your video editing services. So for example, you want to work for a coach or an influencer that actually started off editing. The reality is they're not going to see much of a value when it comes to just entry-level editing, versus if you get on a client that is a doctor or is a lawyer or is in real estate, and they don't have the time to actually sit down and learn how to video edit, learn how YouTube works, learn how to make videos. So their knowledge gap, they don't know much about video editing or filming, so you can charge them a lot more. And that was a lot. Feel free to rewatch it, but those were my biggest mistakes when it comes to when I first started out video editing and freelancing. And make sure to follow my Instagram at BVCCO, Broke Visionary Collective Company. And my name is Peter. Make sure you grab my free camera guide, link in the description. I have an entire playlist of how you can make passive money as a videographer and video editor. You think you need to go to school and all that stuff? Link in the description, watch that playlist, it will help you out. And my name is Peter. You are watching Broke Visionary Collective, where we all start with nothing, but you can always create something. Cheers, guys.